So if you're in your 20s or 30s and you feel like buying a home is impossible right now, you're not wrong. For the first time in decades, young adults are falling behind their parents in owning homes, and the gap is getting wider right now. My name is Justin Lopatin. I've been a mortgage lender for almost 20 years. I've helped over 5,000 buyers purchase their first home, and I work with a lot of first-time home buyers every single day. And I'm seeing how hard it's become for Gen Z and Millennials to become home buyers. But on the same token, I also see the ones that are making it work. So in this video, I'm going to explain why it's so hard to be a home buyer right now, but also what you can do to position yourself to get that house. So the latest data from big real estate companies like Redfin and Realtor.com says housing data has flatlined for Gen Z and Millennials in 2023 and 2024. About 26% of Gen Z are homeowners and about 54% of Millennials are homeowners. And those numbers typically go up year after year, but they've been the same the last couple of years, and for good reason. Meanwhile, Gen X, ages 44 to 59, they're at about 72% homeowner rate. And the boomers, ages 60 to 75, killing the game. They're at about 80% homeowner rate. And here's an interesting stat. By the age of 27, just 36% of all of Gen Z became homeowners, whereas the boomer demographic, when they turned 27, about 40% owned a home. So in today's economy, younger buyers are facing more difficulties, primarily because of financial reasons when it comes to buying a home, and they're off track anywhere from 5 to 8% compared to folks that are, in the boomer age. And if you really look at the data, this isn't just like a moment in time. This has been a trend over the last couple of years that's really starting to impact folks that are Gen Z and millennial ages. So let's dig into what's actually causing this decline. Is it just money and financial, or is it something bigger? I don't think there's any surprise right now that we're in a little bit of an affordability crisis. You got mortgage rates that have gone up substantially from the pandemic lows of 3%. They've been hovering anywhere from 6.875 to almost 8% over the last couple of years. Those are high rates, relatively speaking. And real estate prices have gone up every single year. So when you factor in high mortgage rates, higher real estate prices, the average mortgage payment is hovering around $2,800, which is a lot higher than it's ever been in the history of homeownership. Another challenge in that regard are wages and salaries are not keeping up as costs of homeownership rise. So it's obviously going to be challenging when people's income doesn't match up with the jump in housing costs every single year. And then you throw in taxes and insurance, those are going up as well. And from an inventory standpoint, when you look at the US over the last decade or two, we've had a shortage of inventory for years, especially in hot neighborhoods, bi-coastal cities in the Midwest. That's where people are living and working, and that's where they want to be. So not only are costs high, but now you got to outbid and overpay whatever the list price was by $10, $20, sometimes $50,000. It's crazy. Meanwhile, boomers are staying in their houses longer, so they're not giving properties back to the market. So you got young millennials starting families, you got more people coming out of college that want to buy a home, and you got boomers that are sitting in their homes, which good for them because a lot of them have their homes paid off, and that's another reason why there's not as much inventory. And for some people, after the whole pandemic changed the way our lives operate, a lot of people want to travel more, they want to work from home, they don't want to be tied down to this big mortgage payment, which is why I personally think those numbers are lower for millennials and for Gen Z. And last but not least, we have seen a delay in that family formation stage where young adults are getting married and having kids. On average, it's about 3 to 4 years later than the previous generations. And most people don't need to really buy a home if they're single, just living their lives until they're ready to get married, settle down, and have a family. So not only is it harder to afford a home, but it's harder to find one. And not everyone really wants to commit to that financial stress. So where does this leave the young people? Are y'all giving up on homeownership? What's the best thing to do right now? So growing up, you always heard about the American dream, right? Owning your home. A lot of people came to this country from different countries, and it feels like there's a sense of pride to own your home. It's part of the American dream. But I think the younger cultures, the Gen Z millennials, don't necessarily feel tied to that dream anymore. And in fact, many young folks are really more focused on their future, and that doesn't include housing. It includes things like further education, starting a business, becoming an entrepreneur, investing in the stock market, and trying to find financial freedom through other areas that are not tied to real estate. And that's okay, because here's the deal. At the end of the day, while real estate's a great way to build wealth, renting gives you flexibility, and it doesn't tie you down or anchor you to a specific city, state, or area. And when you rent, you also don't need a massive down payment, and you don't have to incur any closing costs. And if you don't like where you live, you can pick up and go when things like taxes or insurance or your rent changes. Now, in the scheme of things, big picture, real estate has always gone up. So for the most part, buying does make sense, but it doesn't necessarily work for everybody. You have to approach it with the right strategy. Part of that strategy starts with getting the right education about budgeting, really understanding where you want to be long-term, making sure that from an employment standpoint, there's stability, and then working with the right team. You need a great mortgage lender, and you need a great realtor who understands the market dynamics, and it's looking out for your best interests, not their best interests. So for some, the dream isn't necessarily dead. It just might be delayed, and not everyone has the same vision of the American dream as maybe their parents did early in their lives. So if you're watching this video and you made it this far and you're wondering what to do, I'm going to break down the best next steps for you if you still want to become a home buyer. Number one is you got to be crystal clear on financially what you can afford based on your income, and you really got to think through the next 2 to 4 years of employment stability, because here's the thing, housing payments can rise based on taxes and insurance. So even though you take a 30-year fix, your interest rate may not change, but there's other variables. And if you even bought a condo, there's HOA fees, right? So there's these other variables that you have to be mindful of, in addition to things like maintenance and repairs. So dialing in your budget is key. I can't emphasize that enough. Number two, take advantage of first-time homebuyer programs. Every city and every state has a variety of programs that are local to that city and state. And in some cases, there are government options that allow you to put low money down. They allow you to get credits and grants that can cover your closing costs. And there are different interest rate incentives that can cheapen your mortgage payment so it's in your budget. Don't skip on the down payment assistance. Ask your lender about these programs. All of them offer them. Number three, credit. Credit stays with you for your entire life. Every single purchase you make that has financing, from auto loans to your mortgage, is tied to your credit. The better your credit, the lower your rate, the lower your payment. Pay down your debt, pay your bills on time, get rid of those old collections, knock out any lingering things that have been dinging your credit. And if you need some assistance, reach out to someone in the credit repair space. There's a lot of great credit experts out there that in the course of a couple months, they can get your credit score up drastically. Another strategy for first-time homebuyers is considering purchasing maybe 30 to 40 miles outside of where they really want to be. Now, some people don't need to go into the office every day, or maybe they go in once a week and they don't mind taking the train and working from home the other 3 to 4 days. These fringe neighborhoods are maybe 20, 30, 40 miles outside of that main city center. You usually get more bang for your buck, you get more land and space, and you buy at a lower price, which means there's more room for home prices to go up. If you want to be in the center of town in the hottest area, you're going to pay a premium for that, and it's less likely you'll see more appreciation. The values stay strong in big cities, but they don't really appreciate drastically. Whereas these fringe neighborhoods, when you buy low over a 5 to 7 year period, there's more room for your equity to grow. So here's the deal. You can't control the market, but you can control how prepared you are so that when the opportunity or the window opens, you can seize it. So look, a lot of you feel locked out of the housing market right now, but you're not going to be locked out forever. The key is understanding the system, understanding how to play the game and budget correctly, and preparing yourself for the next opportunity. The next year or two is going to be wild. The economy's changing. There's a lot of political uncertainty. Rates could go up, they could go down. Housing prices could go up, they could go down. Nobody knows. And if they tell you they know, they're lying. Nobody knows. All you can control is what you can control. Your income, your credit, your spending, your saving, and your knowledge. Be prepared. So do me a favor. If you like this video and you found some value, give it a like, man. Give me a follow. Come on. Additionally, drop a comment below. I answer questions all the time. What is your biggest question, concern, or what do you think about this video when it comes to buying a home? What's holding you back? What else can I help you understand?